Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a wonderful beginning to your Thanksgiving week. A lot going on at the box office and the cinema, and I'm very excited to talk to two amazing people, KB and Cinematic Counseling, which is Brittany, about their thoughts on what's going on, and especially we'll be talking about Wicked for sure. So let's bring them to the stage here. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Welcome. So I'm going to bring up some slides here and we can have a nice discussion. And hope everyone in the chat is doing well too. Let's see. Okay. So these are three movies that are currently out. Any thoughts? Have you seen any of them? Are you looking forward to seeing them?
All three of these looked real rough to me. And so it's like no interest across the board. I've been hearing reviews and just like atrocious. And yeah, I probably won't see them until they come out.
The only one for me that I definitely want to see is Gladiator 2. The first one is a classic, whether you're into the action movies or just, award season fodder, which the first one ended up being, which, surprised no one that got a chance to see it. I definitely want to see that one just because Denzel's in it. But the other two, I really have no interest in. I haven't seen any of the Venom movies while they were in the theater. I always ended up, seeing it at home, whether it's through streaming or getting like the Blu-ray or 4K or whatever. Red one, I don't know. That just seems like something that you put out there for the holidays. That's just lather, rinse, repeat as far as a formula.
Yeah.
So of the three, I would say Gladiator is the only one of interest. And I know a lot of people did the Wicked combination of seeing that and Wicked this weekend, and the box office was, reflects that. But I didn't get to the box office or the cinema, I should say, this weekend to see both, and I think I chose the better of the two. So I'll see Gladiator 2 when I get a chance.
Yeah, I was trying to fit in both Gladiator and Wicked, but like this time of year is also crazy, and I think the numbers for both of those movies, Wicked and Gladiator, I think are going to just continue. Wicked probably will stay strong. I don't know what the drop off is going to be like for Gladiator 2 once Moana hits, but I feel like throughout this week at least, before Moana comes out, they'll both definitely pick up some extra money too on top of whatever they've made so far.
I think a lot of people end up just like seeing how like the early responders, who go out and see the movies opening night or opening weekend, what they say about the movie, and then decide if they want to see it or not if they hear a good report. So there shouldn't be too much of a fall off for Gladiator 2. I don't know about the other movies, and same thing with Wicked. I have people saying, oh, I'm going to see it on Thanksgiving or Black Friday or whatever the case may be. So I think it was like a $250 million budget. So it made like a little more than a fifth of that. It'll take a little bit of swimming upstream to cover the cost, but it should make more money this weekend.
Yeah, I've just not heard great things about Gladiator 2. Like, I definitely wanted to see it. I'm going to be honest, I haven't seen the first one. And I know I need to, and like I need to go back and watch it. But yeah, I was just told wait till it comes out on streaming. It's not worth going to see.
Yeah, I've keep hearing like Denzel is incredible in it and that he's like the best part of the movie. I think the one thing with like Ridley Scott films too, which I found in Napoleon, was his like the battle scenes are like, I'm assuming the battle scenes in Gladiator are going to be at least like a shining moment, because like that's how I kind of felt about Napoleon. Like I felt like I liked things about Napoleon, but as a whole, like I feel like there was a different cut in there that maybe we should have seen. And but the battle scenes were just incredible. So
that's fair.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring in the chat just real quick to say hi to everyone. We have Through the Lens, how are you doing? Thanks for stopping by. We got Justin, Yo NFG, LFG for this podcast. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you. You too. Hisham, hello everyone. How are you doing today? Have you had breakfast? I have had breakfast. Have you guys? Not yet, KB. Hello, let's get it. Hey Max, how's it going? Obviously. Always happy that he's in the chat. Holland, so nice to see you.
What's up, Holland?
Justin goes trash Red 1, rent Venom, and buy Gladiator 2. Yeah, I think that's about right. I feel like
that'd be my choices.
Yeah, we didn't even start the game yet, but I like where he's going with this. Yes, double feature podcast, Mika and Kira. So happy to see you guys. Didn't see any films this past weekend, but I'm planning to see Wicked this week with the family during Thanksgiving. Yeah, and you guys, you brought this up. It's kind of like a lot of people are still waiting to see it for Thanksgiving weekend, which is crazy. So I think that movie's going to still just make tons and tons of money.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are just waiting to see it with families.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes, this is the Venom poster that they made that had a Wicked vibe to it, so I thought that was funny. But definitely we'll see Gladiator 2 as well. Enjoy the first one. Anything with Denzel I watch. Yeah. I mean, at least he's in it. That's right. The saving grace. Cool. So let's go to the next slide. These are movies that are coming out. And it's really strange because between after Moana 2, which I didn't see the first Moana, so I'll probably wait to see that. But I know there are a lot of hardcore fans of Moana. After that, there's not a lot until you get closer to when Sonic comes out. And then you have a lot of Oscar nominee potential movies coming out, and then the bigger films. So, I mean, it's the box office for Gladiator and especially Wicked, I think, it's just, they're going to just make so much money. Any of these that you're looking forward to seeing or anything you want to say about them?
I'm excited for Sonic. Yeah. I really love the first two. They're fun and play good homage to the original, the video games. So I'm excited. I liked Moana 1 enough, to see the second one. Kraven looks fine.
That's a good way to break it down. I haven't seen any of the Sonic movies. I own the first two on physical media. I'll probably break them open and go to see it because it's going to be around the holidays. Same thing with Moana. Same thing. I liked it well enough, but I think I may have just seen it once, if not twice. Kraven, all of the Sony Marvel movies, it's if you're not Spider-Man, I'm really not checking for you. So it's kind of hard to say I'm excited for that. But even though it's a Marvel property, it's I don't know. You can take it or leave it.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's a I'm hoping that the fact that Aaron Taylor Johnson is in it is I hope he brings something really interesting to the character, because I feel it, he's been in so many things where he never really got superstardom, and I feel he's a very good actor. So if this is a bad movie, then it's going to be really bad for his career, and that's just sad.
Yeah.
Loved Moana, so we'll see Moana 2. Yeah, I gotta watch it. I don't know why I slept on it. I find it interesting that this weekend they did a lot of a lot of stuff was coming out about the Moana live action movie, and it's kind of, it's so strange to be doing a live action so quickly when you have the sequel of the animated one coming out. And I know The Rock probably just really wanted to do it to showcase himself in live action instead of hiding behind an animated character, but it's just a very strange thing.
Yeah, it's weird. Watching the trailer for it, I was isn't Moana 2 coming out right away? It's weird that they're just so similar timing.
That could be why he's the ongoing debate if theaters should let people do sing-alongs with Wicked. He's on the side of you should sing. Maybe he's just prepping everyone to sing "You're Welcome" with the actual Moana movie when it comes out. But I don't know.
Yeah, they had the press screening for Moana this past weekend, and they brought all of them to Hawaii because they're filming Moana 2 there. So they had this huge press screening, but it was it's very interesting. And I'm excited to see Moana. I will watch it. I know people love it. But we'll see how this live action goes. And hopefully, The Rock just got over the Red One was apparently so bad, so I think he's really trying to just focus everyone's attention towards this. The movie we've all been waiting to talk about, Wicked. Now, 164 million worldwide so far, and it still hasn't even opened in places like France and certain countries. So that's crazy. I'd love to get the conversation going on everything you liked, didn't like, or maybe it surpassed your expectations. What did you guys think about this film in general?
So I went into it hearing all the wonderful things, but I still was cautious because I love the musical, like listened to the music all growing up, and then I saw it on Broadway. I saw it came to TPAC in Nashville last year, and I saw it again, and one of my favorite shows. And so I was like, they're going to ruin it. Like, there's no way this can be good. And it well surpassed my expectations. Like, so many people told me, no, it's even better than the musical. And I didn't want to believe them, but I would agree. It was pretty damn incredible.
For me, this is like a long time coming. When I heard that the director's been trying to make it for a while, I thought it would be in good hands. Of course, we've been seeing teasers and trailers for it for a year plus, more or less. We knew about it coming out, the adaptation of it. My wife is the big Wizard of Oz fan, and then her favorite musical. All my kids have seen it, so it's like, you better come correct. Whatever you do with this movie, it better be correct. So I didn't do too much of the behind the scenes research like I normally would. I wanted to go into it as, dare I say, blind as possible. And I was pleasantly surprised. It was a solid movie. I mean, every movie you could nitpick and criticize little things about, but I think it was just a day or two, because a lot of my friends who were critics saw it as late as Sunday before it premiered. And then we went to early access on Wednesday to see it. And when I heard it was part one, I said, okay, so they're going to break it up based on when intermission would be for, like the musical. And I wanted to see if it would be true to the musical and also true to the book. And it did in both ways. So it was great to hear all the songs plus a few, and it was solid. It was solid for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up a question to both of you quickly before we talk about other things. Was there any new songs in this? I literally recently saw Wicked again on Broadway for my birthday. I hadn't seen it since I was 18. And I traditionally, a lot of times when these movies are adapted, they like to throw in a new song to get like a potential best song nomination at the Oscars. I didn't notice anything that was necessarily different. Did you guys?
I noticed that they added lyrics.
Yeah.
Like I noticed some of the songs changed a little. I don't think there was an entirely new song, was there?
I don't think so.
No.
But
I wonder if adding lyrics makes it qualified then at that point. I don't know.
Let's see.
Yeah. It was definitely like slightly darker than the musical. Even like in Defying Gravity, they add like a kill her line. I don't remember that being in the like musical adaptation. It seemed mildly darker for sure. Not as dark as the book, but dark.
Right.
Yeah.
I heard the book is incredibly adult, first of all, and then also just very dark compared to the show.
Yeah, it's real grim.
Did you guys notice any things they incorporated from the book specifically?
The beginning. The beginning has more of the book incorporated, which is good because it kind of, like everything else, I call it the shining effect. You have people who like the book adaptation, then you have people who like the movie adaptation, then you have that small Venn diagram of people who are in the middle between the two. So I think there was service given to both, so you, like you were saying, there's a little bit of a dark element from the musical to the movie, but it also played a little more into the book. Not totally, because if you thought 2 hours and 40 minutes was long, if you played an entire book as a 2-part movie, it would definitely be a lot longer. So I think that's where they kind of added to it.
Yeah, but the book doesn't focus nearly as heavily on the friendship, and has way more like political aspects to it and religious aspects to it, and that doesn't really come into play as much. It's definitely political, but not to the degree of the book.
Yeah, I found out recently. So initially, when Wicked came to Broadway, Kristen Chenoweth's role was supposed to be much, much, much smaller. And they wanted her to sign on for it. And she was like, I guess, trying to have her own sitcom at the time, because everyone's tried that at least once. And they kind of coerced her to be a part of it. And then they kind of really had her co-collaborate creating that character. So that's definitely why, since you pointed out that their friendship is not really a focus of the book, that's really what they amplified in the Broadway show, which I found very interesting. And initially they had written like the No One Mourns the Wicked to be more of like a deeper alto, but because Kristen has that crazy soprano range, they were like, let's use that as a contrast. So it's like this really high up voice singing this really sad stuff. And I think it works so well. I thought like they definitely elevated certain numbers in a much bigger way. One that stood out to me was Dancing Through Life. I find that like in the musical, it's great. It's a great number, but in this, it was like, whoa.
Yeah, it was the dancing with it. Like, I mean, obviously a lot of the things that happen in the movie, you can't do in a play, like just realistically. And so the pieces with the library and how everything's moving, it was so incredible. And then even like the dance scene in general, when Elphaba comes in, like, I feel like I was sobbing just nonstop through that whole piece.
Anything that you find, KB, that they potentially improved upon, or maybe could have improved upon more, because you know a lot about both the book and the musical?
I think the including the backstory more, I always thought that was what was missing from the musical.
Yeah.
So to address that upfront, without giving anything away, we're going to see more of it open up in part 2. I think that was a good play, because then it ties it more into what people know, whether they've seen the musical, read the book or not. You have the whole Wizard of Oz element in it that's going to kind of tie things together more. So it just opens it up to be of service to more of a general audience, without saying you have to read the book or you have to see the musical to enjoy this. I recommended it to someone who's only seen The Wizard of Oz, doesn't like musicals, and went in to see it. And at 5:20 in the morning, I got a text saying, "Loved Wicked." That's all it said. And I was like, okay, my job here is done. Someone who doesn't like musicals, much more movie musicals, went and saw it and totally loved it. So
it's a very interesting thing with the musical genre, because I feel like, there's only, back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, if there was a hit on Broadway, they would adapt it immediately to be a film. And there are some great ones. And then we kind of got out of that. And then, Chicago was finally adapted. And I personally think in a lot of ways, the film is better than the musical, which is very hard to pull off. But I feel like it can take like seeing a musical once, twice, maybe 3 times, and if they're bad, you are like, I hate musicals. And I can see why it's such a hard genre for people to get into, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My thing is I grew up, you know, I went from my mom taking me to Broadway and off-Broadway plays and musicals to becoming an adult and going with my wife. You know, it was like going to TK, TS and getting like matinees and stuff like that, to my kids wanting to, anytime we're in New York, oh, I want to go see that. Or they would take school trips and they would end up going to see stuff. And I'm like, I didn't even see that. So it's like just having that as a part of growing up. And I grew up like in the time of Grease and, like you mentioned, years later, Chicago and all that. So just having that kind of like be a part of my art DNA. It's weird when I hear people saying, "No, I don't like that." It's like, so West Side Story not a good movie to you? Or, you know, it's so weird for me to hear that. But, you know, to each their own. So to see something like this be a hit, it's like, yeah, I'm used to that because I've seen other musicals do it. And, you know, once November, December rolls around, we start to think about award season. So this is definitely going to be there for award season, as far as, you know, how many nominees it gets for this award or that award. So it's inevitable.
I think the timing of it too, just like post-election and how much it says politically without being obnoxious. Like, I think it's integral to the story of the play, and it's done with such, I mean, it was before all the like, we need to make everything woke and put everything in that has a political agenda. It was before all that this story was created, but it comes out at a time where we need it done well. And I feel like that's, I mean, there's so many videos on TikTok about Wicked and like how it's coming at this perfect time in a political season. And I think that's very real and how it's driving people to really appreciate it too.
Yeah, I think in a time where people of all sides of the spectrum distrust their government the most, I think that this is a general thing, a general kind of look into like a mirror of anyone can relate to, what regardless of what their politics are, because there is so much distrust amongst everyone. And I think that like the fact that the wizard is this political figure that people are now not trusting, and you see how he manipulates people, I think it says so much, and it won't drive people away on either end of the political spectrum.
Yeah. I also wanted to say too, like, I really appreciated, and it's been a year, which I realize isn't that long, but my memory is horrible since I've seen the musical. But I feel like Nessa's character is much more full in this version. Movie. And like, man, you hate her. Like, and they do such a good job of making her this, like, I'm a victim, I'm woe is me, and you hate her for having no empathy for her sister who's gone through all this trauma. And I love that aspect of it.
It almost plays like in service to her when the need be. And then otherwise it's like, I'm independent, leave me alone. It's like, we have a future coming for you that involves a house. Just know that.
Facts. Spoilers, but real.
And to piggyback off of that, I think what you guys were saying about the expansion and like the opening, I think the stuff with the dad really hits it hard in a great way in this film, because you get like, that's one of the things I keep thinking too. It's like, there's no way you could do one film for this show, because the show itself, I think one of its my critiques of the show is that it rushes through things so quickly. And this is like, we can really like just live in this world and get to know these characters. And I think the dad being so harsh on Elphaba and his favorite little girl, Nessa, I mean, my goodness, like that. And she's taking it so like maturely, and she kind of just is like, I know like Nessa's my dad's favorite and my dad hates me, and I'm just still going to protect Nessa because that's my sister and I care about her, you know.
Yeah, you don't really see that as much in the musical. It's kind of implied, and that's the difference. You know, we talk about opening up. When you have a book adaptation and you open it up to a musical, there's just so much you could fit in. So you take something like Alice Walker's The Color Purple, and you have the Spielberg movie, which tried to play as close to the best with Walker's work in a 2-hour movie. And it's much more open up than the musical became, because the musical really didn't have a chance within that limited space of time. And you see the same thing here, where, I mean, the musical is excellent, but you have more of character development being shown in the movie with more time given, because by the end of this, we'll have what, 5 hours, 4.5 hours worth of music and character development and plot and, you know, things just moving along, because it almost feels like we just got to the end of Act 1 with this, not only in terms of the musical, but also in the tone of like a 3-act plot. So we'll see what the part 2 brings as far as Act 2 and Act 3 of it.
Yeah, I was really nervous about them splitting it into 2 parts, but now after seeing the first one, I was like, oh, this was completely necessary.
Yeah. I love the running joke too. That's like, because it stops at when intermission would begin, and it's like, oh, I have plenty of time to stretch my legs and get concessions because we have a year.
Yeah, a whole
Right?
year.
Yeah,
So
you can
real.
use the restroom.
Mhm.
And what did you guys think about the casting of this? Because I really think that I personally think they did a really great job with everyone. Any thoughts on the choices for the cast?
Yeah, there wasn't any choice that I was like, this doesn't make sense. Like everything, I loved Piero. Like, oh my goodness. And I think a lot of us were nervous with the whole, like, when the fan adapted the poster, and Cynthia kind of had her freak out over it, and I think a lot of us were like, oh no. But I think the casting was 100% perfect.
Sorry about the background, but for me, I think I initially, which I try to avoid being a prisoner of the moment, but on my Letterboxd, I just gave it 5 stars, because to me, it was everything that I look for in a movie was done well. If I had critiques, that didn't take away from the 5 stars. But as far as casting, sometimes an actor might mail it in, and that could be based on the writing or just who they are. And for me, Jeff Goldblum felt like he was just doing Jeff Goldblum. He wasn't the wizard. He was just Jeff Goldblum in it. So I think that would be my only critique, but everyone else was well casted, played their parts well. I think taking someone who was a Broadway actress in Cynthia and giving her the role, and taking a pop artist who has lyrical range in Ariana Grande and giving her a role was very, very smart, because could hit those high notes, has that pop appeal, kind of like Glinda would want to be.
Yeah.
So it just made them attractive in that sense. And honestly, even though we've had movies besides the Broadway career, even though we've had movies like, oh my gosh, what was that one I saw with Cynthia and Revo? Harriet. So even though she's had roles like that with really powerful performances, I would say not everyone, she's not a household name.
No.
In the same sense. So once again, that plays to the character. So, and then everyone else was excellent as well. I forget the guy's name on the right, but he was perfectly cast.
Yeah. And just as we were saying, they expand on things. I found that the Bach Nessa relationship too, like seeing him, like his reactions to what were going on when his face is like right there, big on the screen, is so much more impactful than when you see it in the show. You know, it's a very interesting, complicated dynamic because he's clearly so in love with Glinda, but you know he wants to impress her and be with Nessa, and then like he's so conflicted in that, and then it just obviously blows up in their face in Act 2. But like a lot of these things, I think, you guys were pointing out, it is so great to be able to see the depth of these characters on screen. And I agree. I think Cynthia Erivo like blew me away in a way that I really it wasn't that I was ever skeptical, because I know she's so incredibly talented, but it was kind of like, what is she going to do with Elphaba? And I thought she just nailed every emotional beat. I mean, I immediately cared for her instantly. And that's not always the easiest thing to do, especially when you do have the slight drama that did happen with her, and she overreacted, and she said she overreacted and things like that about the fan poster. I completely forgot, did not care, and I just saw how incredible she was in this, and I'm just like, she can go off about anything she wants on Twitter, because it doesn't even affect me because of how powerful she is on the screen. Yeah, so great cast. I'm so excited for Act 2. I think people that it's really interesting when you talk to people that they know nothing about the musical at all, and they don't know what's about to happen. And one of the critiques I keep seeing from people that never saw the show is that they felt like the side characters felt shallow, and to us we're like, oh no, they were so much more explored than the musical. So, and they don't know obviously what they're going to do in Act 2. So I think that once they see Act 2, it might have, in retrospect, like change their opinion about this movie with those critiques.
Yeah, I'd agree. I do. It makes me want to, like, anytime I watch something I love, it makes me want to watch it with people who know nothing and just like stare at them the whole time and watch their reactions.
I do the same thing. I was telling this story that I took a Hitchcock class, a film class, a couple summers ago. And besides my now friend and myself, no one in the class had totally seen Psycho. They knew about the shower scene, but they'd never seen Psycho on a whole. And when it got to the part, we stopped watching the screen and we started looking at the other students in class just to see their reaction. And we're talking about a movie at the time was, 50 years old? Mm-hmm. And the way the blood rushed out of their face, they've seen, decapitations and all kind of modern horror movies, but just the fear in their face, it was like,
right,
just watching them, it was great. It was so great. So I know what you mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we're all, as people that are familiar with the material, I think we're all thrilled that people can finally see it. And I think one of the biggest issues with Broadway in general, I mean, national tours help, but the national tours are still expensive, and I think there is such a divide. I mean, I wish I could. I live in New York, and I wish I could afford to go to Broadway all the time, and there's no way that's happening. I usually do the lottery or the cheapest tickets I can find. And so and I think that's, as we were talking about earlier, like that was kind of the purpose in the 40s, 50s, and 60s to instantly adapt a hit. And we had to wait 25 years for this. So I'm happy that the world can now experience this film and everything about it. Just going to hit the chat real quick. We've got, and I'm probably going to miss a lot of people because we're talking so much, but I apologize. You are very appreciated that you're here. We've got Cody from Dude Who Loves Movies. Roundhouse, kick that like button. Yes, thank you. And he says, I can't wait to check out Wicked. Absolutely. Definitely do it soon. Luke Ponto, what's up, y'all? Thanks for stopping by. Smile 2 had psychoactive suspense at times. Says Cynthia Erivo nails her performance, the acting, the singing, the ceiling hitting highs that she involved with near the very end, everything. The end sequence, and someone pointed this out, that the way John Chu directed it, was almost like a superhero film in the sense of like the very end, and like when she rises into the sky and all of the quick things that are happening, and it's just like there's so much tension and drama. Really, really well done. Max says Wicked seriously blew me away. I had a 10 p.m. showing and it was packed to the brim. That's actually something I'd like to ask you guys. How were your experiences in the theater?
I was like, I got the last seat for the showing I went to.
wow.
Luckily, it was back far enough.
Oh, good. It wasn't
Mhm.
right in the front.
No, because
Yeah.
I think a lot of people went together, and I last minute was like, I'm not waiting for my friend anymore. Like, I'm going alone. And I went, and I mean, the crowd was so excited. There was so much clapping, and just like the last scene, everybody was in tears, and like nobody moved when it ended. And I love that.
I'm in Kansas City, and AMC is based here, and they're probably the only franchise theater right now that has I call it the no singing policy, but it's like no talking, no whatever, and that includes singing. So I said, at least for the first time, I want to see it that way. And there was an early access screening, so it was a sold out thing, but we got the tickets early enough, and I think there were like 10 of us in a row. So we were like dead center where I like to be, and it was in Dolby and all that stuff. So I got like the full experience. But now I'm ready to see it again, and I want to be in the theater where people are just belting out everything. But yeah, every show, like I checked for Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, even though I wasn't going, every show was just packed and sold out.
Yeah, I loved that. There was a lot of applause, almost like you were at the theater, like after numbers. I mean, people were applauding, and people were crying all over the place. And a lot of times, you know, a lot of people felt, you know, they were so overwhelmed with the fact that they were actually watching a Wicked movie on screen, and I think that just brought people like tears to people's eyes too, because it was like, I can't believe it's finally here, you know. So what a special thing to be a part of. So we're gonna, unless you guys want to say anything else about Wicked, you're more than welcome to. If not, we are going to move on to our little own rent trash game.
I just want to mention quickly, like, what are your thoughts? Because I love celebrity drama. What are your thoughts on like the references to how Judy Garland had to go through all this stuff, and like they made her wear a corset and take all these caffeine pills, and it was such a stressful environment, and like the marked like weight loss and changes in appearance of the two main actors in Wicked. Like I don't know what to think, and I hate when people just focus on how women's appearances are in movies and before and after, but like I did notice just how almost like sick they look in some of the post interviews, and like all the crying. People are saying, is this trauma, or is this just acting is stressful in general? Like, this is just how it is.
I mean, I would say the thing with Ariana Grande being incredibly skinny right now. I mean, people were, when they first saw on-set photos, they commented on how tiny she was. I personally thought that because her costumes, she knew were going to be very voluminous and very. I think most people in that circumstance, it's kind of like when a bride like tries to lose weight for a wedding. I think knowing that she probably just wanted to be in the best like physical like moments so that she wouldn't look frumpy, I guess, because those are like big gowns and there's a lot of volume to those. And if, you know, it can show a lot, it can make someone maybe not look the most flattering. I feel like with the crying and all that, I feel like maybe they just feel so bonded from what they went through with this experience. And this movie is so important to so many people. And maybe it's just emotional for them now that it's finally out, because I feel like they had to not talk about it for so long. The pandemic happened and like all this stuff. And maybe that's the cause of that. But
yeah, keep in mind, they didn't just make a movie together. They essentially shot back-to-back 2 movies. You know, if there's any bonding to be made, it's going to happen over time. Whether it's the Marvel movies or like the Lord of the Rings, any franchise, of movies, you find out about these bonds and these friendships that get made among the cast and the crew, and it just goes on for years and years. For me, it was past all of that, and it was more to also say they're not very tall or large women to begin with.
Yeah.
There was that picture from the premiere, and they had the two stars of the original musical. They had Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth, and then these two ladies. And the tallest one in the picture was Idina Menzel, and she's 5'4".
Wow.
I didn't realize that. That's crazy.
So she's 5'4", and everyone else in the picture is mad shorter than her.
Yeah. Yes.
You're not going to expect them to be size 16.
Right.
So,
right.
You know.
Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion on it. I just have noticed that this has been such a topic, and like I do love the drama of everybody's conspiracy theories and like
And it's always a topic with women, and I hate that.
I agree with you there. Let's move on to our game, and own, rent, trash. If you don't know what it is, in the chat, I'm going to provide them with 3 films, and you get to own one, rent one, which is like watch it once or twice, and then trash it. You have no desire to watch it or watch it ever again if you have seen it. I'm going to start with Thanksgiving films. This is a weird one because I just don't know like movies that are so specifically associated with Thanksgiving, but there's only a few. And so I figured I would put some of these out here. So we have Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, and then Eli Roth's Thanksgiving. And I'll let whoever wants to go first.
It's all you, KB.
Okay. This is really weird because I'm not currently in Kansas City. I'm at my best friend down in Florida. So I left my almost sub-temperature degrees home to come to like 75 and poolside. So I was just telling him I was going to bring 2 movies. I was going to bring Eli Roth's Thanksgiving and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles because they are Thanksgiving movies. But then you throw in nostalgia with Charlie Brown. Ooh, you got to own Charlie Brown or watch it every year.
I really liked Eli Roth's Thanksgiving.
I haven't seen it yet. I have it. That's what I'm saying. I have the 4K of it, and I was going to bring that and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. But Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is a classic. So I will, if I'm keeping Charlie Brown, I'm going to rent Planes, Trains. And since I haven't seen it, I could say trash Eli Roth's Thanksgiving because I haven't seen it. So it's neither here nor there for me.
I know nothing about Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh, you'll love it. It's really great.
Great comedy for the holiday. That's all I'll say.
I guess I'll rent that one.
Okay.
Charlie Brown lives up here rent-free, so I can trash it. It'll exist forever.
Interesting approach.
And then I guess I'll keep... I mean, Eli Roth's Thanksgiving is not like an objectively good movie. It's just fun. So I'll keep it.
Okay.
Very cool. And there's never right or wrong answers. This is all preference, which is why it's very fascinating to hear. This might be a hot take, but I think out of all of the Charlie Brown holiday specials, the Halloween one and the Christmas one, I feel like it's the weakest. And not a ton happens in it. So I would probably trash it. I know that's terrible, but I love the Christmas one and I love the Halloween one so much more. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, I would probably, I guess, own that one. But I love, so it's tough too, because Thanksgiving is a horror movie, but like there's such great commentary on the craziness of what Black Friday used to be before we kind of transitioned a lot of that to online shopping. And I think that's such a great setting, an interesting setting to make a slasher film. So yeah, I guess I'll rent Thanksgiving because I'm not going to watch it, all the time, but I still really enjoyed it. And then Planes, Trains, and Automobiles I would own. So these are 3 Disney films since Moana is coming out, but these are 3 Disney films that are kind of like not the typical Lion King, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast. and they all kind of came out around this similar era. We have Great Mouse Detective, Rescuers Down Under, and Robin Hood.
You first this time.
I'll easily keep on Rescuers Down Under. I love that sweet movie. And it's just like, it's nostalgic for me. I have friends who adore it, and so like we'll watch that movie a lot together. I've not seen Great Mouse Detective.
Oh, classic. You should check it out.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to trash Robin Hood. Hot take, I did not like that movie as a kid. My aunt was obsessed and would watch it all the time, and it annoyed the shit out of me. So I'm going to trash Robin Hood and rent Great Mouse Detective.
And that would be my exact same order too. Rescuers Down Under, I have fond memories of that. Even when my kids were growing up, and the clamshell VHS tapes and all that, we always had. Actually, I think we had all three, but I remember watching Down Under with them a lot. I would rent Great Mouse Detective, and there's enough versions of Robin Hood probably in my collection alone, from Errol Flynn and on. So if I don't have the Disney one, I'm good. I'm good.
That's a great point. I think it's interesting if you watch Robin Hood. It's such a, I think it was the 60s it came out, maybe 70s, but it feels of that era like so specifically. It's like a little time capsule. And if I don't know if you guys remember the hamster dance, but it was like okay, so that was like a digital like viral moment that happened in like, I don't know. This was like 20 years ago, maybe. But that was actually a song from the Robin Hood movie. When I rewatched Robin Hood recently, a couple years ago, I was like, oh my God, that's the hamster dance song. And they just took that song from this old Disney movie and it became a thing. I would agree with all of you. I think I would do exactly the same thing. And it is funny that Robin Hood is like the girls joke that was like their first crush when they were like 6 when they watched it, because he's like such a sleek fox and he's got this British accent and like very funny. But I totally agree with you guys on that. Okay, since Gladiator is out, and I know, Brittany, you haven't seen Gladiator, that is okay. That does not play any weight into your decision. I mean, it doesn't mean you can't play it. We have Blade Runner, Alien, and Gladiator.
Ridley Scott. Okay.
Right.
79 Alien classic. I am so sick. I will put that on and start to fall asleep and set the timer on my TV to just turn off. So you got to keep Alien. Blade Runner, I am a fan of. There was actually, I'm a physical media collector, and there's a suitcase that is supposed to be like the whole set with all the different versions on it. I'm still trying to find it for a price where I could also pay my mortgage. So, but I know it well enough that I have to rent it, if not keep it. So, own Alien, rent Blade Runner, and Gladiator. It's good, but between the three, that's the one that got to go.
I think I'd agree. I love Alien. It's also like just one of my favorite horrors. Such a badass female character too, done right. And Blade Runner, I've also not seen. So I initially, before doing like the cinematic counseling, tried to do a little like late to culture things. I grew up super religious and wasn't allowed to watch a lot of things. And so I'm really late to a lot of like classic movies, and I'm watching a lot of them for the first time. Which is fine because the people in my life are like getting to experience it for the first time again alongside me.
So cool.
Yeah.
I want to do that with you too. I love introducing movies to people, as Tracy knows.
Yeah.
So
well, I'll just do awesome. Like a Discord movie night and watch some classics, and it'll be my first time. It'll be great. So yeah, I guess rent Blade Runner because it's another one I have to see. And yeah, sorry, Gladiator. Just knock that one right out.
I'm going to agree. I think I recently watched Gladiator to prepare for Gladiator 2, and I really enjoyed it. You know, I totally get why it was a huge Oscar movie and things like that, but I feel like out of these three, that's the one I would have to trash. So, okay, since we are discussing Wicked, I thought I would do 3 musical movies: Chicago, The Sound of Music, and Grease. And I know they're all very different, so
this is brutal. This might be my most painful. Oh my goodness. I'm going to, so The Sound of Music, I grew up in Vermont, and that's where the Von Trapps fled to.
Yeah.
I grew up right near Stowe, where the Von Trapp Lodge is, and grew up, our local theater did The Sound of Music pretty much every year. And the Von Trapps, like the grandchildren and great-grandchildren, would be in the play, or they'd speak beforehand, and that is near and dear to my heart. But I also know it so well that I'm like, I could probably trash it and still like have it just on repeat up here again. So I'm going to keep Chicago because I love it so much. Rent Grease because I overwatched the shit out of that. I don't know how I was allowed to watch Grease and not so many other things.
It's so adult, and I'm like, we're all like 9 and 10-year-olds like obsessed with it, and then you see it like later on in life, you're like, wow, those lyrics are something else.
Shocked I was allowed to watch that movie.
Same thing with Dirty Dancing. When you watch it and you're older, you're like, really?
Yeah, my mom. So my parents had me really young, and my mom, Dirty Dancing was like the movie she snuck as a kid, like that she wasn't allowed to watch, but she would watch all the time anyway. And so Grease and Dirty Dancing were like, she's like, it's fine. I know you shouldn't watch these, but like watch them anyway. So fond memories of Grease, and then trash, unfortunately, Sound of Music, despite how much I love it.
I'm gonna flip around your top 2. So I'm going to show my age. I was 8 when Grease came out. So also another big film for both my wife and I growing up. So it came with the house. So I can't take it out the house. So I have to own Grease. I've gone from VHS to DVD all the way up to 4K. So I have to own Grease. It's like I have to breathe. I have to own Grease. So I'll rent Chicago. And I mean, Sound of Music used to come on TV twice a year, so I've seen it enough times in my lifetime that I could trash that one, but that's still painful. I'll just sing it a lot. I'll sing different things. So long, farewell, Sound of Music.
Yeah, I think it's going to pain me to say this, but I'm going to probably do exactly what Brittany chose. But it's so tough with these, and I love. I think when I rewatched The Sound of Music as an adult, like I don't know, it might have been 10 years ago. I had seen it so many times as a kid. But then when you watch that movie as an adult, you were like, this is one of the most like powerful films ever made, and it's so well done. And like it's so serious and heavy. And I think when you're a kid watching it, you don't really pick up on the heaviness and the weight of what that family is going through towards the end of the movie. So yeah, all great choices there. Okay, because of Wicked, these are 3 movies that are Wizard of Oz related that don't include Wicked. So we have the original Wizard of Oz. We have the crazy nightmare-fueled 80s Return to Oz, and then we have the one that Disney put out, which is I believe it was Disney, Oz the Great and Powerful. That was the one with James Franco. What are your thoughts?
I feel like the Wiz is missing.
That's true. I wasn't. I should have done that. I'm sorry. The Wiz is so good. I don't even know.
That would have made it even harder. So this is perfect.
Okay.
You could go, KB. It's all you.
It's in order.
Same.
I have to own Wizard of Oz. Otherwise, I have to file for divorce. Return to Oz is creepy enough that I'll rent it, but I don't need that juju in my house. So yeah, I'll
Yeah.
rent that. And Oz the Great and Powerful, you could take that out with the trash because between the three, no. But if you had the Wiz in there instead of Great and Powerful, ooh, that would make it a little harder. Because especially with Quincy Jones just passing, that would make it even harder. So no.
I made these like 5 minutes before we went on, and I
it's all good.
I think because The Wiz is a musical too, and like we just saw Wicked. I should have made the I should have put it on here. So that would have been the fourth option, I guess.
I'd go exactly the same. I've been in the Wizard of Oz, the musical, like 3 times. And near and dear to my heart. I grew up watching it. Again, like wild that I could watch that because there were so many things that they were like, no, witchcraft. But I watched that one. Rent, Return to Oz, trash Oz the Great and Powerful. I was also in The Wiz. My all-white high school seemed to think that was a good idea. So
that makes me happy. That makes me happy to know that.
Yep.
Somewhere there's a Wonder Bread version of The Wiz taking place. That's beautiful.
Yeah, in very rural Vermont. Just
oh my goodness,
living large.
That is so funny.
I love that.
Yeah, I agree collectively with you guys on this for sure. Definitely Wizard of Oz. Return to Oz is, I think, like Max's like favorite, which is so funny to me because it's so freaky. But yeah, and then trash Oz the Great and Powerful. And then this is a consistent one I've been putting out because no one has seen these yet. They are coming out. These are all Marvel films, and no one knows what the direction is going to be like moving forward. And like, there's so much like, oh, can Marvel really come back? Deadpool Wolverine was obviously a very successful movie, but it was also based on kind of critiquing what Marvel has done recently and a lot of cameos and things like that. So if we are seriously moving forward in the MCU, these are the next 3 that we are getting. So,
I can easily start with this.
Okay.
Comic book nerd growing up, I am so excited for Fantastic Four. Give that to me tomorrow, now. Once we finish with this live stream, I want to go see it immediately. Brave New World, because it's Captain America related, I'm in, but I could probably rent it. And Thunderbolts, there's too much upheaval, and the characters are all the people that you didn't like in previous shows and movies.
That's a good point.
And they just threw them together like they're trying to make some gumbo. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. So trash that. Trash it before it comes out. But I'm ready to see Fantastic Four. And if any of the 3 ends up being the savior for the MCU and Marvel Entertainment on film, it'll be Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I totally agree. What was that trash Marvel movie with Angelina Jolie?
Oh, the
Eternals.
Yeah, that's what Thunderbolts feels like to me. Like that all over again. But yeah, exact same order. Fantastic Four, keep. Rent, Brave New World. I want it to be good, but don't have a ton of hope. And then, fully trash Thunderbolts.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go along and say that as well. And Fantastic Four is definitely the one I consistently have been feeling the most optimistic for. I love that they're doing that like Jetson-y type of 60s space age vibe. And I think that like, honestly, it would be refreshing to see that. And if you look at their production design for any of their shows, like Loki, or even like Agatha, or like some of the other ones, they like WandaVision, the production design has always never been a problem to me for those types of like genre types of things. And I feel like Fantastic Four, if they have the same production design crew that has been doing these movies or TV shows, like even something similar, like I think it'll look awesome at least. So cool. Well, that ends our game of Own Rent Trash. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Do you guys have anything else you want to say about your channels or any movies you're looking forward to seeing or anything else?
I've been in full doctoral mode trying to get this degree done. So videos have not been coming out super frequently, but thanks for having me. This was fun.
Anytime.
She's living that ABD life. I understand. KB loves movies. This week I have, besides this, like I mentioned, I'm in Florida, and on a recent podcast, which I do with my co-host Kate, the center seat I had for my wife's birthday, she was on as a guest host, and on my YouTube series, The Conversation, I always ask, now that you've been through it, who would you like to see? And she mentioned my best friend. So while I'm here, I said, you want to do it? So I'm going to have my best friend on The Conversation this week, either tomorrow or Wednesday, I don't know. And also Wednesday, I'm coming out with a new version of Thankful, which is a video collage. Did you do it the last time, Tracy?
I might have. But I'm not. I don't remember. But I definitely want to. What is the deadline on that? I'm so sorry. Work has been crazy.
Get it to me by tomorrow night.
Okay, that'll be done.
Finish it up by then.
Yes.
So basically, a video collage of fellow YouTubers and Instagrammers just saying what they're thankful for. So you'll see Nerdy Film Girl and others.
That's awesome. There's always a great collaborative space on KB's channel, and it's really great what he's doing over there. And I love the perspective from Brittany at Cinematic Counseling. She comes from a psychological background and analyzes different characters in movies, and it's really fun. And I can't wait to see more from you once you're all settled and relaxed. And yeah, KB said one of the best things when I was on the conversation with him, and he was like, if you feel burnt out, like, just don't, like, you don't have to make a video, like, it's okay, like, and it was great advice, because there's definitely been like months where I haven't put anything out. Still streaming because there's really no work involved with that, but like, with that, it's so true for YouTube. Like, you don't have to like just kill yourself over it. So
it's not a job,
No.
even if you're monetized, this is still secondary. Unless this is your main bread and butter, then by all means put out stuff daily. But short of that, this is a hobby, this is entertainment, this is more for you than for others, and you have to put yourself first. So
yes, if anything, it's just fun for me, and I feel like it sharpens my skills as a counselor, just to like sit down and really analyze characters and talk about that deeper psychology framework. So
I live with a counselor, so I would love to have you on The Conversation sometimes. We could definitely vibe.
I love it.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much to everyone in the chat, and we'll see you all next time.